Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. A more traditional episode, as opposed to last week when we had the kind of attempt to do the everybody come out and talk to us about whatever they feel like. Today, I felt inspired. This weekend is not only my lovable stepdaughter's 12th birthday, but it is also Mother's Day this weekend. And I know that a lot of us are feeling it because we can't be with our moms. We can't do the normal the normal stuff that we would normally do for Mother's Day, where we would, take them out to brunch or lunch, or make them a special prize for at a party or something. We would do things for them that we just can't do right now because of this whole shut-in virus quarantine thing that we're all supposed to be doing to hopefully keep everybody healthy in the long run, including our moms. Excuse me as I die a little bit. So let me bust through this whole Weekend Bryan thing, because I do have a couple of really cool things to talk about, and then we'll get into the topic at hand, and that is a Tales from a Professional Nerd Mother's Day special, which is super weird, and I tried to get my mom to hop on the video through Zoom and possibly get her to regale you with a funny story or something from my childhood, but it just did not come together because part of my week is I got a new computer. Very necessary. Super necessary. My computer was kind of a dinosaur and was definitely making regular everyday work stuff problematic. We'll just leave it at that. But yeah, so the Weekend Bryan, I ran. So for those of you who've been following the channel, I've been before everything got shut down. I was running Shadowrun games, like little one-off, like one-night mission things at my local store, in an effort to try and get everybody ready for when the actual like Shadowrun missions kit becomes available. It was supposed to be Origins, but now Origins isn't happening the way it was before, and it's crazy. So no one knows how's going on. So the players, specifically one hopeful player who hadn't had a chance to actually play in one of my games yet, reached out to me and said, "Hey, can we maybe do this via Zoom?" And bam, boom, boom, I did it, and it worked out. It was cool. We had a lot of fun. It took a little longer than what the games in person do, but some of that I think had to do with the fact that there were a couple of people that had not used Zoom before to play games, and one person was a complete Shadowrun newbie. So there's a little bit of hand holding there when it comes to that kind of thing. But yeah, so I think that was probably for being a first time attempt at doing Shadowrun over Zoom, it went really, really well. Speaking of Shadowrun, I finished a short story that hopefully relatively soon, or depending on how long it takes them to get the cover art done for it or whatnot. I know that the gentleman who runs Catalyst, their fiction department, he had said that they're doing their PDF business, their PDF download business is doing really well because, again, people can't get out to their game stores. They can't, they can't get out to the bookstores to buy the physical copies. So people are they're diving in and getting a lot of these PDFs sold, because it gives them stuff to read while they're, stuck in the house doing nothing. So hopefully that short story will be done shortly. I know what I had titled it, but I don't. That was just a working title. I don't know if that'll be what ends up being on the final product. When it becomes available, I will absolutely make sure you guys know about it. I know a lot of you read my novella, my Shadowrun novella with the frame job, which now is apparently available in a complete package, which I didn't know. I didn't realize that they had packaged it all together into one cohesive book now. And I'll go ahead and put the link in the description so you guys can go get it. But yeah, so you can kind of get the whole story of our original Sixth World guys, and then you take a look and pick up the short stories here and there that trip your fancy, and then eventually the one that I just finished will be on there. And I officially started putting down words to page on my brand new Shadowrun novel. I'm doing a full Shadowrun novel. Again, it has a working title, so I don't want to go into what that might be. But I am super psyched to jump into this. Not only is it a novel based on something that's happening, a very, very big, huge meta plot thing that's happening in the role playing game world, but it allowed me to part of this story. The majority of the story is taking place in and around plot lines that I helped write in the role playing game world. So it allows me to flesh out a few of these other characters. People who in the role-playing game book were just a passing interest. I actually can give them full scenes. Show people what I saw when I made that character, or when I made that place, or I made that plot line. So I'm super, super excited for that to come together. And now that's not due to be done until later this year. But I just wanted to get that out there and see how psyched I am about doing more Shadowrun fiction. And I know John and we had talked about possibly doing some more fiction for Catalyst. I love the Catalyst guys, and I love doing fiction in my spare time. So it could be a match made in quarantine, as the case may be. Let's see what else. I'm going to be running the third second episode of the Arcane Promise this weekend, which is the Spelljammer 5 Ed Zoom game that I'm recording for the channel, which should be super fun. This is going to be a good session. The players are officially gonna kind of get into I don't want to say get into the thick of it, because that's not really quite true, but they're definitely going to get a healthy portion of plot and understanding a little more about what's going on, what they got dropped into, the chaos that they got dropped into. So that'll be a lot of fun. But also tomorrow, I actually this weekend is filled with awesomeness. Tomorrow I get to make characters for the first time. I played in a convention a long time ago for this in this system. It's called the Burning Wheel. It's a fantasy role-playing game setting or system that is very very narrative, as far as like you do a lot of descriptions of your things. It's got some crunch to it. It's got a lot of rules. You can tell it's a big book. But I know that the person running the game that I'm playing in is an amazing storyteller. He has been doing this for as long as I've been alive. I'm super psyched. I don't know if we're recording it or if we are, or if he's going to be twitching it or anything of the sort. But Peter Atkinson, the CEO of Gen Con, is who's running the game, and it's for me and a couple of others. He's running a couple of different game sessions in different places in his world of Chaldea, which is awesome. I've followed his Chaldea stuff since it's been 5-6 years ago, I think, he invited me to go see the premiere of a movie short that they created in his game world, that starred a couple of there are a few people that we recognized in there, but it also it's like legit movie sets. Like, they are using size differentials to make the hobbits look small. Like they've got like actual like voice actors doing some of the monsters. But what's cool about it is that not only is it's a fantasy world, but it is set almost in a historic Earth feel, like almost like a Roman era feel, and it is not only is he putting out these movie shorts and eventually I believe he's eventually trying to do a series, but they go hand in hand with comic books, with basically graphic novel style comic books that tell parts of the story along the way, allowing him to tell certain parts of the tale that might be too expensive or too time consuming or anything like that to do in a live action movie. It's really neat. I think it's a super cool idea. And so when he reached out to a bunch of us and said, "Hey, I'm gonna run a couple of these Chaldea games using Burning Wheel over Zoom and Roll20. Who's interested?" I shot my hand up. I've played with Peter before in a couple of things. And I love his storytelling style. I love his world. I'm psyched. In fact, I'm going to put the Chaldea information under like the spiel in the how to go do your own research and take a look at this cool world. But we're long story still kind of long. We're making characters tomorrow. And the Burning Wheel character creation process is deep. They actually call it burning a character. Basically, you're creating, like, getting all of this individual storyline stuff put together until it's eventually a thing. And now what's cool is our particular chunk of game is taking place in his kind of semi-mythic Ireland, like Irish Isle. Which is awesome, because if I'm feeling froggy, I should be able to flex my voiceover style muscles a little bit, and if my character burns the way that I think I would like him to, he should be a lot of fun to play in a game that is very politics heavy and very intrigue filled. It should be a lot of fun, and if I have an opportunity, if he's going to Twitch it, I'll put the information out there for you. If he's not, if it's not going to be recorded or anything, I'll just fill you in on how things are going as things go. But I'm really excited for a number of reasons. But it should be a lot of fun for us to at least get these characters off the ground, and I'll probably tell you about them next week. But yeah, so then after that, after the character session, my Zoom is going to stay open because one of my playtesters' best friends, the paladin in my family game, the godfather to my son, one of my oldest friends here in town. I knew his. I was very close with his father before his father passed away. Is turning 30, which for those of us that are old and set in our ways, it's neat to see him round this milestone. But it sucks that it's not something that we can do a full celebration for. So we're throwing the gates open on a Zoom meeting, letting people come out. Raise a glass, drink a beer with him. Hopefully that will be a lot of fun. Just a way for us to basically let him know, hey, I know we're all stuck in our various places, but we love you, and we've got you. We've got your back, and happy 30th. And then, over the weekend, I got my Arcane Promise game, and then on Sunday, I got to make a cake, and then on Sunday, I've got my stepdaughter's birthday, which we're going to do a Zoom thing for as well, because she misses her friends dearly. This year has been really good for her socially. She's made a lot of really good friends that are sticking by her through all of those preteen weirdness things that happen. And for her birthday, I promised her that I was getting her a hotel room so her and her friends could have a preteen sleepover in a hotel room, just them and mom, no boys allowed. And they could watch movies and eat pizza and eat popcorn and have just a blast on dad. I would take care of it. And because of this whole quarantine thing, that's obviously not something that can happen, and it sucks. I hate it. I hate that it's still going to happen. It's just going to happen. Who knows when? At some point, the girls will get to go and have their overnight, which bums me out. I thought it was a really cool idea as a present from because we could get makeup and we could get all the other little physical doodads, but I wanted to be able to do something for her that hopefully she would remember. I was hoping that she'd remember her 12th birthday was the day that Dad got her a hotel room for her birthday. But still gonna happen, just down the road. And then next week, more work. Things, obviously dipping into the novel, getting some serious words down will be nice. Also next week is I am going to try really hard to get some good solid playtesting in with my Warzone rule set. You guys have heard me talk about it before. The skeleton of it's coming along real nice. The stats are coming along real good. I'm very happy with where we are, but before we move on to some of those next steps, we got to make sure that we have it nice and ironed out and where we want the direction to be headed, because going backwards is really hard. And so I think the big thing is going to be either I got to try and figure out how to teach somebody here in the house, teach Connor how to play more than just move the models and roll some dice, or I got to figure out a way to maybe play over Zoom with one of the actual playtesters, because again, it's all NDA sealed up tight, and I can theory hammer as much as I can, but until it actually gets in the head of a gamer and starts seeing strategies unfold on the tabletop, there's no way to really know if you've got that combination right. Everything can look real good on paper, but then when you put it together, something doesn't match, or something feels wrong, or you missed something. So I know I have said that this quarantine thing really hasn't affected my work very much, but I will say this. Not having access to my stable of gamers, my playtesters, like physical access where I can sit down and play with them, it is taking a toll. It makes it difficult to take certain steps in the design process, because I don't have, aside from my own playing by myself sort of thing. But everyone knows you can't run a tactical game playing against yourself, because you can't shut off your brain that way. It doesn't work. I can run through the motions and go, oh, this is what I would do in this circumstance. Oh, this is what I would do in this circumstance. But then all I'm doing is I'm designing for a one-step process. I'm just cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. I can't do the whole, I can't try and think of my ahead of my opponent 3 steps, because my opponent is me. And as soon as I think of my three steps ahead, well, the other side knows what I'm thinking. So it doesn't work out that way. So I'm not so crazy as to be like, God, lift this, lift this quarantine so people can, get together and everything will be great again, because I don't want people to get sick and die. I'm not that selfish. This is an inconvenience for me. But that's all it is. I would rather be inconvenienced than have to watch a video where an acquaintance of mine is breaking down into tears because his best friend is literally dying. That's, I don't understand how some people right now are willing to throw caution into the wind over something so stupid as a haircut, or I need to, if it's because you're not getting paid and you have to get back to work, I understand that hardship is there. I get it. Please, when that happens, take all the precautions you can. Don't try to, cut corners. Do whatever you can to stay safe, because you do need to feed your family. You need to keep a roof over your head. I get that. If you are angry because the government shut down, because this whole quarantine thing is literally just inconveniencing you because your hair isn't being cut, or I want to be able to drink at a bar, or I hate having to, wear a mask out in public, suck it up, buttercup. There are people out there who are literally losing family members and friends because people like you are throwing caution to the wind. So that's all I'm going to say about that before again, it's a happy Mother's Day. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about Mother's Day. Mother's Day special is not about me threatening people's lives. All right. So the Mother's Day special. Let's take a couple of seconds. Me personally, I'm going to talk about a few moms in my life, and then I'm going to get into some other important moms that some of us might know. So, let's see. An important mom, Natalie, my wife, mother to our stepdaughter, to my stepdaughter, and stepmom, or bonus mom is what she likes to call herself. Bonus mom to my son, Connor. She's amazing. She is. You guys have been with us through some hard stuff, so you know that she's got an illness that rears its head every once in a while. But she is an amazing artist. She has come a long way with her art company, Artemis Portrait, which she's working on a commission right now for a client. But I know here pretty soon she's going to get started on a project that, when it's done, will probably hang right there under Kylo, because I'm gonna buy the main thing from her, or at least a print of it. But it's either way, I'm gonna put it right there. Speaking of which, you guys probably noticed that the camera got moved, and so you're seeing a different part of the studio. You guys don't get to see any of the hobby area right now, but you do get to see more of my wall, my maps for Seventh Crown, which was my sadly failed Kickstarter for the role-playing game setting, which I hopefully will eventually have the free time and the money to get back to. For now, they're just some really cool maps done up by Tim Tulin, that hopefully we'll be able to come back to at another date, when life gives me that opportunity. But when I got the new computer, I had to get a new monitor, because my old monitor didn't work with the new computer, and so when I got the new monitor, I had to move my camera around, and so now it is it's angled in a different direction. You still get to see the cool Aquaman and DC shrine, and then all my various accoutrements on the bookshelf. But other than that, you get a little more of a flat space me, which is very important when I zoom, because it allows me to do green screen tricks, which you'll see the first one in The Arcane Promise Session 2. Or Session 3. But yeah, so, Natalie is obviously a very important mom in my life, because she is the mother to My kids right now, she mothers them, just in the same way that I father Nori as best I can, and uh, hopefully Connor sees that his bonus mom loves him tons and tons, and that he is a very fortunate little boy that he's got two sets of parents that love him to death. Speaking of which, another mom that is important in my life is my ex-wife Sarah. She we were friends long before we got married, and we'll be friends way long after. We've always been very very tight, and it is awesome to know the great lengths that she goes to take care of my wee boy when he's not living here. Let's see what other moms. My sister is a mom three times over. I love my nieces and nephews. My sister and I get along great. My sister Angela. We've always had a pretty good relationship. A few years ago, God, at this point it's been well over a decade. But there was a hiccup in our relationship where my sister and I allowed a very, very toxic human being to get between us, and we didn't talk for a few years. It was pretty bad. It was pretty ugly. But that person fell out of our lives, thankfully, and my sister and I are now back to being awesome. Have been for, like I said, it's been a well over a decade since the bad times. And I love to watch her be a mom to her. So her kids are well older than mine. Her first two kids are in like high school. One's in college, and then about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, her and her husband decided to have a new baby, and so now I get to watch her again be a mom to a wee one, point and laugh as she loses sleep and deals with all the things that mom stuff, that parent stuff comes with. My sister-in-law Katie has a small child, little Quinny. So she is another important mom in my life. I get to see her do amazing things with the little Quinster. My mother-in-law, Margaret, better known to the kids as Nona, because she refuses to be a grandma. She is a Nona. She lives here in town. She's actually the closest parental figure that we have. And she is an awesome person. She's a very independent person. Has always been, from what I understand, because obviously I've only known her a handful of years, but from what I have been told, listening to some of the stories and things, she's always been a bootstrap gal, so I have a lot of respect for someone who can get through so much of their life on their own gumption and on their own kind of driving force, and it's awesome. Combine that with the fact that she loves our kids to death, and during this whole quarantine thing, because we knew we were going to be checking on Nona. She lives by herself. Our quarantine sort of bubbles into her house, and we kind of let Nori, our stepdaughter, my stepdaughter, we let her stay with Nona on Saturdays or Friday nights and Saturday nights, because they love to hang out and do crafts and all that kind of stuff. But it also, it is nice to know that Nona's not getting through this all by herself, like with no contact to the outside world. I'm a social butterfly. This is already, the fact that I have to go to electronic lengths to have these conversations is already killing me. I can't imagine complete and utter solitude. Ugh. Yeah, no way. And then it brings me to I'm gonna say the number one mom in my life, my mom, obviously. Marion Lorenz, formerly Seal, formerly Plisky. I'm a mama's boy. I will straight up say it. I have always been. I hear tales of, when a child talks back to their mother, yells at her, says something awful or hateful. I get physically angry because growing up, I couldn't imagine doing something that willingly hurt my mom, or said something to make her that way, to make her angry. My mother is one of the single most caring human beings that I have ever met and ever known. She has been through it all. She's had two kids, me and my sister. Divorced when my dad and her got divorced when I was 7. Remarried, I think, when I was 9. I think 9 or 10. Remarried my stepdad John, who is amazing. And throughout life, what I can say is I became. God, I hope she doesn't actually watch this one. I became clever and cunning and crafty in certain circumstances because I wanted to save my mom the pain of knowing how reality was. She didn't need to know about some of the extracurriculars that I was undertaking because I knew that it would hurt her. Not because I didn't want to get in trouble. I think that's a big difference. Is a lot of kids hide what they do because they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to get grounded. They don't want to have their privileges taken away. I was completely ensconced in the idea that I didn't want to get caught doing some of the things that I was doing because I didn't want my mother to hurt. I didn't want my mother to be disappointed. I didn't want my mother to cry. When I was very little, I remember coming upstairs. I lived in my mom's basement, gamer trope. But I remember coming upstairs into the kitchen and finding my mom crying. And to this day, she doesn't remember what it was about. I don't know either. But what I do know is that there was not a single time that I interacted with my mother in a potentially negative fashion that I did not think of that day and think of what I could do or say or undo or not say to avoid my mom feeling like that ever again. In fact, so I was raised a good little Catholic boy. Went through the whole kit and caboodle. Go through the church schooling after churches and all the whole spiel until I was about 15, when I realized that my mom was not going up to. If you know about Catholic Mass, they do one of the sacraments is communion, the Eucharist, which is basically the everybody lines up and goes and does the cracker thing and body of Christ, blah blah blah. And I had at that point I was still going to church every week with Mom, and it kind of clicked with me that I was like, what? When we go up, you do not. You stay sitting, and I don't understand that. And I was grown up enough at that point to ask her why she doesn't go up to do the thing, and she basically let me know that because she had divorced my dad, and refused to annul the marriage in the eyes of the church, they wouldn't let her. Basically, they were church version of blackballing her, despite the money she gave them every week, despite being one of the best human beings on the planet. She still couldn't do this. And that rang my bell in such a way that I immediately threw myself into the idea of there's got to be something wrong. And I remember talking to my uncle, who sadly is no longer with us, but he was a very big, very, very big part of my life. I remember talking to my uncle and asking him, why doesn't the church, how can the church say one way or the other, marriage? I didn't realize at that point that marriage was supposed to be a sacrament in the church and blah, blah, blah. But basically it was my uncle that let me know that other religions aren't that way. And that in fact, he's the one that got me an old, super old textbook, that showed me that there was a church in England that was created because the old churches didn't allow divorce and the new guy wanted to divorce somebody. So he said, I'm going to make my own church. And it blew my mind, because at that point, I really honestly thought that there were only a handful of religions out there. That it was just, there's like the Christian / Catholic, there was, the guys that sang a lot, there were just super, my eyes were super close to it because that's what I was taught. And so I did research and realized that there were so many religions and so many different ways, and some that were created by science fiction authors. That it was impossible that any of this stuff was legitimately real. That there was all some kind of mortal game, some description, something for us to not be afraid of the dark. And I get it. Some people need that, and I'm with it. If that makes you a better person, rock and roll. If you use it to be a worse person, I don't have any room for you in my life. But it did point out to me that because I definitely did not agree with how the church was handling things with my mother, I was not going to support them any longer. And so I stopped going. My mom, I don't think she really asked until several years later as to why I stopped going to church. And so I let her know. I was like, because the church mistreats you, and you're my mom, and this is I can't defend you against an entire, religious institution, but I can do my part to not support it. And that's where it came from. That's where I landed on. And that's where I've been at to this day. I still have found no reason to support the concept of a religion that would dare treat someone like my mom that way. And that there would be people that would be okay with it. Well, yeah, that they'd be fine with it. Because that's not cool. Not cool is me shrugging it off because I don't want to say what I really believe into the microphone. It's not okay. And seeing a lot of the stuff that's happening now in the church's name, the evangelist Christians that are being so crazy, and Westboro Baptist Church, and all of these things. I don't understand how anyone thinks that religion is a good idea, except in concept, because in execution, it tends to make so many people, awful people rich, poor people give their money away, all in this. Okay, I'm running on a tangent, and that is not what this is about. I need to stop. I need to smile, and I need to talk about Mother's Day because that's what this is about. You know, talking about my mom and okay. This is what happens. So, but my mom. No, my mom, she is amazing. She cared for my uncle when he was dying of cancer. Her older brother, she cared for him up until the day, like would go over and take care of him every day, help get him dressed, get him clean, took care of him to literally till the day he died. She was one that called me and let me know that Uncle Pat had passed away. She took care of my grandfather in the hospital to the best of her ability. His cancer was very, very fast onset. He basically got sick and went to the hospital and then was dead a week later. But she was there every day helping him, you know, to again to the best of her ability inside of a hospital. And then shortly thereafter, she took care of my grandmother to her dying day. For like I think 3 more years beyond 3 or 4 more years beyond my grandfather's death. You know, she has done so much for me and my sister. She has been there to bail us out when things have gotten really ugly. I call her probably once a week and we just chat on the phone about this, that, and the other thing. She has a physical copy of not everything that I've had out, but most everything that I've ever had published. She has a physical copy in the house, in my parents' house. And what's funny is that she has said multiple times that she only vaguely knows what I do. Like, she understands that I make games and she understands that I write stories and she gets it, but she doesn't get it. And so, like, she's tried to watch a few of these videos, and depending on which one she runs into, she has said that she's like, yeah, I listened for a little while, but it's crazy Greek to me, and then I stop. But she's amazing, and like I said, I'm a mama's boy, and my Mother's Day is always spent hoping that she's having a good one. You know, that all of this, you know, for the last 15 years, you know, she's had a lot of baggage thrown on her shoulders, a lot of rough stuff. And now I just really want her to have a good time and enjoy her life with John and travel when they could. Now they can't because of the quarantine, but yeah, it is. So that's my happy Mother's Day to my mom. Is I would not be who I am without her, and I would not be where I am without her help. So thanks, Mom. I love you. All right, so this is a Tales from a Professional Geek, not Bryan Talks About Religion and Moms. So what I did is I sat down with a piece of paper and I wrote out 10 influential sci-fi fantasy media moms that sprang to mind that I went, Happy Mother's Day, this person. And I'm going to start at 10. I'm going to work my way all the way to number 1. Some of you will not agree with me. Others, I don't care. Just kidding. All right, so we have in the 10 spot, we have Frigga, the Viking Norse goddess who is Thor and Loki's mom. Obviously, Loki's mom is more of an adopted term, but okay, it is no secret. I thought Marvel Thor Ragnarok was a garbage movie. However, I do love Thor, and I love the story behind him. And one of my favorite scenes is in Endgame with Fat Thor, which again went on way too long. But Fat Thor of trying to avoid his mom, and then when he finds her, just melting down. You know, this god of strength and storms, this warrior god, knowing that in the next 6 hours that Malekith is going to kill her. And her response of, I know my son, obviously you are my son, but you're not my son from 20 minutes ago. And the fact that she knows, she sees the pain in his eyes, she knows that he's carrying a massive burden, and the only thing that would be choking him up like that, it would be her death. And she knows it's coming, and she still takes it, basically takes it like a Viking woman should, standing on her own 2 feet. She doesn't try to weasel out of it. She doesn't try to find a loophole or anything like that. She just moves forward and is happy for the extra moments that she gets with her son. And I love it. She's a very downplayed character in those movies, and I think that that's tragic. I think that they should have done a lot more. I think Frigga could have stolen several scenes, especially if they would have done Ragnarok like a real story instead of a slapstick Flash Gordon comedy. Jerks. All right. Number 9. Jackie Tyler from Doctor Who, better yet known as Rose Tyler's mom. She is an iconic mom because Rose Tyler is so important to the Doctor Who, especially the 10th Doctor, who's my favorite. But the amount of like grief and loss and just depth that Jackie gets put through, especially after I'm not going to spoil. There may be some spoilers through the list, but I'm not going to get into the deep stuff. The end of Rose's stretch on Doctor Who puts a pretty big hole in Jackie, and it is nice to see not even nice. It is a powerful moment to see a story that's quite literally about a Deus Ex Machina. I make a lot of jokes about Ahsoka Tano is the Deus Ex Machina of Star Wars, which she is. Screw that character. But the Doctor in Doctor Who is literally Deus Ex Machina. He is the god in the machine. He shows up, he waves his wand around, ta-da, end of story. She, in the most recent series, same thing. And whenever something happens in Doctor Who that is a lasting negative, that is an emotional scar or a mental scar or a, that it's killing the Doctor to have to do this, that's how that is a well-written plot device or a well-written moment for a character, and Jackie is filled with them. Not to mention she's funny on screen. Like British moms are funny, and it works. Number 8, we have Pamela Voorhees, the mom with the most and the trickiest non-horror movie going trivia question that gets missed at trivia nights. Pamela Voorhees, Jason Voorhees' mom from Friday the 13th. The original killer in Friday the 13th, Part 1. I mean, come on. She's a mom that sticks around this camp after murdering all the people who were boning instead of taking care of her son, and then sticks around long enough at the camp to basically become a fixture, so when more counselors come, she can do it again. It's nuts. It's nuts, and it's a great, the trope has been used 1,000 times over at this point. It's one of the original horror movie. My son my child was not misbehaving, but was mistakenly left to his own devices and died, and I'm taking out mom revenge, and I'm gonna pin it on this concept of this Jason's back from the grave. That's awesome. Then obviously the stories go on to making more amazing slasher movie firsts and greats and all that. But it all started the mother of the slasher film, Pamela Voorhees. And now we switch gears to someone who is a mom, but not the mom. The mother instinct that happens on screen is not to her daughter, and that is your friend and mine, strongest female role pretty much of all time, Ellen Ripley in Aliens. So Ripley in Alien gets kind of caught up in the circumstance. She's awesome. She does what she can to survive. She is the survivor girl in a thriller, in a horror movie. But in Aliens, we find that, her daughter, her real life daughter, Ripley's kid on Earth, is she's been asleep for too long. Ripley's been gone for so long, and then so her daughter's gone, and then we find the little blonde-haired goofball Newt, who clings to Ripley very quickly because of the mothering instinct. But then also, you've got this character. Ellen Ripley has been through it once, except now she has turned a corner from I'm a survivor to screw you. I'm getting everybody out I can. I'm taking care of my new surrogate daughter. And in fact, actually, if you listen to the backtrack audio, Newt calls her mom towards the end of the movie. And Ripley does. She is for anybody who flag waves Captain Marvel as the feminist movie of all time, or any of the and honestly, really, if someone says, strong female characters, they're hard to come by unless you really write them that way, I dare you to read Aliens or watch Aliens, watch Alien and then Aliens, watch Ellen Ripley's story, and then try and say that again with a straight face. She is amazing, and she is everything that she is. A powerful woman. She understands if she has a deficit to learn how to overcome it. She understands that it's okay to get close to people. You don't have to shut everybody out to be strong. But she also understands that when it's my time to shine, get the hell out of my way. She's amazing. She is one of the best female characters of all time, and I hazard a guess that most people who flag wave for Captain Marvel or Ahsoka or any of the these Deus Ex characters that are written that happen to be female and go, well, that's a feminist viewpoint. Look at it and then look at a character written like Ripley, or look at a character. I may not like his writing. Joss Whedon's Buffy, in the early years of his Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it is a very strong. It is a good. That is a good, strong female character as well. I don't like his writing, and I thought the show was garbage, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a good character. And it's a solid character in that capacity. But doesn't hold a candle to Ellen, and that is my number 7, Ellen Ripley. Get away from her, you bitch. Aliens. Number 6, I don't know if I can call her a mom, but she lives in my heart. All 5 heads of her. Tiamat. Tiamat, the mother of dragons, the original mother of dragons. Get out of here, Daenerys, and your silly, I'm going to ruin an entire culture and then ruin the end of the HBO show. my name is Tiamat, or if the Dragonlancians get it right, Takesis, the mother of chromatic dragons, the mother of evil. How do you beat that? You know, I grew up on a cartoon where the D&D cartoon talked about Tiamat, and then I remember I was at a church picnic when I was reading the Dragonlance book, where it was talking about Takesis, the five-headed chromatic dragon goddess of all of that, and it dawned on me, like literally kind of set the book down and went, oh man, Takesis is Tiamat. It was like someone put jumper cables inside my brain, and I it's like the first place or the first moment that dawned on me that different facets of Dungeons and Dragons could all still be in the same world, linked through gods that might hop and skip around. And then Spelljammer came out, and when I was in high school and I thought Spelljammer was really kind of like, well, that's really weird and really silly. Now I see it for what it is. It's the connective tissue. It is the goo that holds D&D together. Tiamat, number 6. Number 5, one of our favorites, again, another amazingly strong female character, Sarah O'Connor, specifically from Terminator 2. Terminator 1, she is the damsel in distress. She ends up being, she ends up killing the Terminator, but it's more of a, I out-survived him. And throughout the majority of that movie, she's being rescued again and again and again by Reese. So definitely Terminator 2, which has Sarah O'Connor training, ignoring the world, buff as hell, doing pull-ups. That scene, the asylum scene where she's doing pull-ups on the bed rack, I can't do a pull-up. And she's just there, I'm going to do them all day long. Amazing. And then later on, the fact that she's been training her son. Yeah, John does the whole, okay, my mom thinks that machines from the future are going to come back and kill me. But Sarah, she never stops instructing him. She never stops getting him ready. And once she gets past that initial panic of, oh my God, there's a Terminator. It is here. It is real. I am not crazy. You get that moment of maybe I was nuts, and then she sees him and she's like, oh no, this is happening. She snaps into protective mother bear mode, and she is calling her gun runner, and she is ready to rock and roll, and she is putting Windex in syringes. She's amazing. So number 5. Number 4 is a softer choice. Number 4 is Martha Kent of Smallville fame. That's Ma Kent, Clark Kent's human mother. It's no secret I'm a big Superman fan, and if it wasn't for Clark Kent being raised by Ma and Pa Kent, that he would likely have, I won't go so far as to say, he would become Ultraman from Earth 2. He would become this evil alien. But I do think that without the good-natured, Midwestern love of the farmer and his farmer's wife, I think that Superman would be a completely different character if it wasn't for the fact that he was tempered by Martha and John, or John, Ma and Pa Kent. They were instrumental in turning a godlike creature into someone who actually cared about his surroundings. I've said this quote 100 times before, and I want to say it's Kirby. It was Jack Kirby that said it. Is that when you create a character that is physically impervious, that is invincible in every physical way, the only way for you to hurt or threaten that character in a plausible way is to do so emotionally. And that, knowing that Martha Kent is his soul, let's take a look at the most recent movies. His dad's dead. Pa Kent is gone, but now you've got, he's got his mom all by herself. She is the anchor to his humanity. She is his, she's the reminder that, he's not just some awful alien. He is also Clark Kent. And I don't want to get into the depth of discussion about certain scenes, but Martha is his route to his roots to it all. It all needs to make sense. His roots to, whereas Lois is his connection to love, his connection to an adult life. Martha is a reminder that without her motherly love, without her showing him how to be who he is, then he is every bit of the alien menace that later on, like, Batman calls him. It is such an important part of him that she is okay, that she is his root, because without those things, he might as well be the monster. Because if you don't have that root to your humanity, if you don't have that reminder that people care and that you care, it's real easy to do awful things if you don't have anything to compare it to. So, number 4. Number 3, soon to be on the screen, the big screen yet again in a new fashion, Lady Jessica Atreides, mother of the Kwisatz Haderach itself, Paul Muad'Dib Atreides. So, being a Bene Gesserit witch, Bene Gesserit, not Jesuit, that's weird. Being a Bene Gesserit witch, she broke the rules. She should not have had that little boy baby. She should not have given a son to the Atreides, but she did, and it ended up turning the whole universe on its end. And without her, the Dune universe would have been completely different. Without Muad'Dib, without the Fremen rising under his banner, the whole system would have been completely different. So Lady Jessica, despite the fact that she throws caution to the wind, she is easily one of the most important sci-fi moms out there. Now, our last two are both from the same franchise, and they're kind of part of the same connection. We have Shmi Skywalker, mother of Anakin. So there's a lot of hubbub, and I know a lot of people are like, Anakin's a terrible character, blah, 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 but he's the heart of Star Wars, shut up. Shmi was an attempt, she was a vessel for Palpatine to create a hopefully a perfect son, to then be turned into his perfect apprentice later on, because Darth Sidious sees all. But it was also an opportunity for it's a missed opportunity twice over. If you go back and watch Phantom Menace, where they meet Shmi and they meet little Annie, and Qui-Gon gladly has no problem using the Force and cheating the system in order to get the boy, because of his his midichlorian count, and he could be the chosen one, because it's he sees something in this child. And when they make mention that his that it's only, oh, we're only going to rescue the boy and not the mom. It gets kind of passed over real fast. Just very much, yeah, okay, whatever. That they can only afford to get the boy and not her. But if you think about it, you've got two Jedi there that are two Jedi and a member of the Senate, a royal member of Naboo, or like a member of the ruling family of Naboo. They could have done something to take Shmi with. It's not like their ship only had X number of spots on it. Like, oh, life support wouldn't handle it. No, it's specifically Qui-Gon says we couldn't afford it. We couldn't, the money isn't right. We only can take the boy. And obviously, Qui-Gon's doing that because he needs the boy to go into the Jedi Academy, which he needs to have no ties, so he can't bring the family with. I mean, I understand the process. But because they leave her behind, Anakin already has that chip on his shoulder that I'm always worried about my mom. We find this about in Attack of the Clones. I'm always worried about what's going on with my mom. And then later on, it's the first time that Anakin full on gives into his hate. Like, it is, there's no question. Palpatine or Sidious seeded that child with serious dark side energy. And Shmi's death, or rather Shmi's capture, you can't tell me that him uncorking that's he even said it. He liked how it felt. He slaughtered them all like animals. He liked how it felt. And I personally think that it was Sidious. He knew from the get-go that he needed some way for to get Anakin started down that path, to start not trusting Obi-Wan, for him to look at the Jedi and go, my mom could have been saved. But no. They left her here on this planet, and then when I came back, these schmucks that they left her with, she got captured by Sand Raiders. And then how did that happen? Let's dig a little deeper. How did she get captured? They didn't kill anybody else. They didn't burn the farm down. It's so I suspect that there's more to it, that the capture and death of Shmi is one of the reasons why Anakin kind of starts to fall into that dark side. That sort of, I can use the Force however I wish, and Obi-Wan can't stop me because I'm too powerful. So there you go. And number one sci-fi mom of all time, in my opinion, because she has two different routes to take, is Leia Organa, or depending on how you read her, Leia Organa Solo. And the reason I say that is because before Disney acquired Star Wars and they scrubbed the canon, Leia was Han's wife. It was an amazing set of stories. They had adventures together. It was them two and Chewie out in the stars. It was fantastic. And they had two kids, Jason and Jaina, who were amazing. And then later on there was a third, but she was trained a little bit as a Jedi. Eventually she became a master. But she was willing to give it all up in a heartbeat to help raise her kids right. To make her kids grow up to be the people they were. Pre-Disney Leia Organa Solo was fantastic. Now, we fast forward to the sequel movies, the 7, 8, 9, where we get to see a new side of Leia Organa. We don't know whether or not her and Han ever got married, or if that was even something that they ever really did. That we never really talk about that in the movies. But she is still the ever-caring, even after Kylo Ren, the dark side phantasm of her own son, kills Han, kills his father, she still doesn't give up on him. She still cares about him. She still knows that he is who he needs to be for everything to come out right. And that sort of belief in an otherwise unforgivable, just a downright a murderous villain of a son. The fact that she can still go, just like his grandfather, he can turn back, and that more than anything in the whole Skywalker saga, in my opinion, Ben's last moments, his turn back from Kylo to Ben, his kissing of Rey, the last moment of, I'm going out on my own terms, I'm going out serving the light, is the bow, the little bow that tied the end on the Skywalker saga, that effectively showed, that did bring balance back to the Force. The way that the original prophecy, it is the last vestiges of Anakin's spirit coming all the way through everything, through children, through grandchildren, and ending with Ben's revival, his comeback to the light, the person who started it all, Sidious, the one who created the Anakin chain, who created the Chosen One to upheave the Force as we know it, comes all the way full circle and ends with Ben. And the Skywalker saga ends with Ben in the light, and having chosen to do so willingly. Not forced into it, not, I'm dying, so it has to happen. It is, I need to be the hero that my bloodline was always supposed to be. And that is why I think Leia shines through him. Because if she would have given up on him, I think that he would have never had similar to the Superman thing, he would have never had that anchor to his humanity, to the original light in his system to come back. I disagree with that last little bit in episode 9 where Rey says, my last name is Skywalker, where she just takes it on, and because it's the end of the Skywalker saga, she shouldn't have done it, but the actual Skywalker saga itself, I think, ties up with Ben, and it ties up with Ben because Leia had the belief in him, and that's, I think, that makes her sci-fi mom number 1 in my opinion. All right, so I've rattled on about religion, about moms, about Star Wars, about horror movies. I've gone on far too long. This weekend's going to be fun and filled with all kinds of cool stuff. I can't wait to tell you about how things go. And hopefully you guys will comment on my videos and share and subscribe and like and do all the things you're supposed to do. But aside from all that, what I do want you to do is I want you to take some time for yourselves, play some games, get out there, have some fun, play some games. So that's what it's all about. We'll see you next week.